I am. I mean.
But I just like.
But
I usually invite everyone that I'm friends with.
I don't think we were friends, but then I was searching just generally.
Sorry.
That's your comment.
I know. It was. I've tried.
We're
Just send
live.
me the links to my
I
profile.
have.
No, well, today I added you.
Is there one more chair?
Yeah.
She thought she had the
I
directly
can sit
contact.
over there.
Mark's back for
Yeah,
breakfast.
you can sit here.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So we got the blue crew in the back.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the
I
blue-
missed the
blue
memo,
crew came.
but we got
Oh,
it.
yeah.
You got it.
So we're live. I think I'm not sure. Does it matter if this is small on the screen, or should it be full screen? Okay.
Do whatever you want. I mean, once you share your desktop, it doesn't make a difference.
Okay. Thanks.
Right.
So welcome to the second installation session of Mom Art, which is my class for homeschool. I'm Victoria, and I'm really happy that you're all here. Some familiar faces and some new friends. And shall we start? You want to? Okay. So I put together a little slideshow to kind of guide us through the experience, but feel free to derail me at any moment. Last time we had I really appreciated the contributions that everybody had to offer, and I think that it was really surprising how much people had to say about the topic, and maybe that'll happen again, maybe it won't. So I'll start and thanks to all of you for watching. Okay, it's a beautiful sunny day in Portland. I should screen share first. Thanks to Mammy for your eternal generosity and everything. I'm a little nervous all of a sudden.
Drink more.
Yeah, I think I feel like it's the alcohol that's like making me it's like hitting me and like about to get my period. Like, straight to the dome. Forgive me, everyone. Okay, here comes the mise en abîme. Maybe there it goes. All right. So my slideshow is pretty text heavy until the end. So if something happens to be like where we're talking and it's more interesting than what's on the screen, I might switch it up if you guys are okay with being on the internet forever.
At least until Google exists. Or stops existing.
Until
My mouse disappeared, so I'm just gonna let that.
Your mouse doesn't work?
Well, I can't see it anymore, and I don't want to mess with it. I'm entry level, obviously. So here we are, Mom Art session 2. Let's see what's on the next screen. So I just want to start off with asking y'all, what brought you here, and what do you hope to get from or give to today's class? And feel free to start if you want. Anybody?
We've been wanting to go to
What's your name, just in case anybody hasn't met you before?
I'm Ryan. Nice to see y'all and meet you.
Ryan is one of the hosts of our.
Yeah, so Alexis and I live here with another couple who lives in that room, but they're not here right now, so we're not disturbing them. And yeah, we've been wanting to go to these sessions, and we figured that the best way to start is to have people here, so that we had to be here. But then we were also joking about how funny it would be if we were just like, yeah, you guys can come in, and then we'll be back in 2 hours.
We're going to the park.
Yeah, it's a nice day. I mean, good luck. So, yeah, I'm interested in these different modes of education that happen in Portland and beyond. And so, like the fact that you're broadcasting this simultaneously, and that it's just, it's like these really casual affairs that happen on Sunday nights, but that there's a lot of information to be shared, so excited.
Thanks for having us.
Oh yeah, our pleasure.
I've never heard of Mom Arts before,
Uh-huh.
and these two told me about it. And I was
What's
like,
your name again?
Sarah.
Sarah.
Sorry.
Okay, that's my mom's name.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Cool. Yeah. I'm all about lady art and feminist work, so I feel like Mom Arts is definitely within that realm. So I'm excited to learn more.
awesome. Thanks.
I guess I'll add to what Brian said and said. It's something I think about a lot, moms and art, and I'm just curious to hear what you have to say, what you're reading. The reading has been like, I'm super interested in the topic, so I'm glad to be hosting it too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Alexis is like an all-star pupil.
Thanks.
Even though she didn't come yet, this is your first time coming.
Yeah. It is my first time.
Yeah.
I have
But
looked at.
you've been like a highly participatory since like the outset of our trying to find the time to like start the project. So
We are
Happy
happy
to
to
be
support it in any way.
yeah, and we're gonna have another thing at C3, right?
I hope so. Yeah. I have
Right,
to follow up with
Gabby.
that email.
Mhm.
Maybe on Monday, Tuesday.
What about you guys? Do you want to talk?
I'll talk again. Yeah, because I did it last time. I'm a mom and an artist, and so that makes me a mom artist. And I also just I like any opportunity to get nerdy and read about stuff.
I would have to say I'm gonna interject though, but not all mom artists are mom artists. I don't know.
I'm an
Maybe-
artist mom.
Manny sent out a nice article that that lady, that mom writer that had a hard time being a mom and being a writer. What was it like? Can moms be artists or?
Right.
Does motherhood disrupt creativity?
Yeah.
or something like
Yes,
that?
yes,
Like the New York
and I would
Post, yeah.
definitely. I don't know. I'm not gonna say too much about that article
I don't
because
think
it doesn't
Karen is
deserve.
necessarily saying that to be a mom artist you have to like reproduce.
Yeah.
Right. She's just
Yeah.
saying that because she's a mom and an artist.
I
she's
am a mom and an artist. I'm a marmist.
You are a mom
I'm
artist, but like that, it doesn't just like mom artist
Yeah.
equals mom art. To me, I don't know. There's moms. Not all art made by moms fits under my
I
umbrella
see
of
what
mom artist.
Oh yeah,
Yes, because
it's the square rectangle thing.
what's that?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. All squares are rectangles,
But not all rectangles are squares.
Right.
Anyway, continue.
Oh well, that's pretty good. That's like part of it. That's a big part of it. I'm really curious about like the dematerialization of art and like productivism as a problem and like what it means to be productive
Or be productive.
versus reproductive
Yeah.
Does
versus
it need
just
to be a versus?
or do you have to or do you even need to be productive in the way that we expect ourselves to be productive or have been trained to be productive?
I'm sorry you can't stay. Oh, that's a really important question.
Mhm.
But you can watch later.
I will.
I'll like make note. I'll be like, Karen, listen to it.
I'm Chloe, and I am not a mom, but I am an artist.
You're-
I
I don't want to talk to you.
but I have a lot of mom friends, and sometimes I have projects that feel like babies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna be like,
And that's-
you make amazing.
Yeah, project spaces and projects and curatorial projects and passions, and that's I'm very motherly about them. And
Yeah, you also don't have to be a mom to make mom art. Under my definition or like my
Yeah.
understanding or idea or concept or whatever.
So maybe mom art is my thing. Yeah, I've been interested in the homeschool events and programming since like the first sort of introductory lecture happened, and it hasn't happened that I've been able to be at anything except for like right now. That's when I was talking with my friend Eleanor yesterday morning, and I was like, I really need to do that, and then I was like, oh wait, tomorrow 6 p.m. And that's how I'm sitting here. And yeah, it's exciting.
Happy you're here. Thank you for sharing.
I think I said this last time, I really appreciate the idea of any sort of narrative or practice that intends to subvert pop art or the 1,000-year patriarchy.
I don't know if you put it like that last time, but I appreciate that. Thank you for bringing it back. Thank you. What's your name again? I'll call you like Mr. Tarrant.
Mr. Tarrant. You should absolutely call me Mr. Tarrant in the context of this class.
Okay, as he shows his kids baby socks. Okay, I will then. So you have to go.
I was at the last one and it was amazing. So I wanted to come again. I also was realizing that I was really attracted to mom art, or like the phrase mom art, because I've been thinking a lot about girl art, like recently, and like what that means, and like being annoyed by ideas around like sad girl art versus not sad girl art, and like
That's
feeling extremely frustrated. But yeah, and then I especially came this week because earlier this week I told my friend that I'd been going to this thing called mom art, and they were like, that doesn't sound like the kind of art that you would like.
Wow.
And then I was like, no, I like really have to go to prove that it's the kind of art that I would like. Yeah.
Well, I hope to prove you right.
Yeah.
No
I
pressure.
feel like you-
Annie, is there anything you want?
I'm here because I'm one of the homeschool facilitators and co-founder, and I was at the last one, obviously, and it was really fun. I can repeat what I said last time. I also am interested in subverting paradigms of value, paradigms of productivity, and sort of reclaiming the domestic, and thinking about like process-based aesthetics. And like I said last time, I love my mom, and I love the stuff she does in a domestic context, and I think it's art. Same with my dad.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making this possible. Cheers to everybody. Cheers. Okay, here we go. Again, I'll screen share again. Let's see. I have a feeling the screen sharing's not good. My slideshow is not that exciting, but okay. So, thank you. I put it in a different font this time. I think it's called Kira. Mom art, qu'est-ce que c'est? So that means what is it? But I think everybody's allowed their own definition of mom art, or you don't have to have one. It's not something I came up with. Like I said, I don't know, maybe I said that before, but it's been done, the idea of mom art as a counterpart, or I think the first Anita Steckel, I think she was like a feminist artist in the 60s that did a lot of like weird, like cool phallic paintings as like a fuck you to the idea of pop art and patriarchy, which I don't consider, like I didn't hear about hers and then come up with my definition of mom art, so I don't consider my idea of mom art to like be continuing the tradition of her idea, but this idea has existed, and it's up to you to kind of like come to. Obviously, you're here to like have a relationship with that concept, and like I'm not here to boss that around or anything, but I do hope to be able to like give you a sense of what mine is, and mine is grounded in the way that my aesthetic and my art were changed after growing and bearing a child, and I don't think that's definitely not, obviously, the only way to become a mom, and it's not the only way to come towards mom art, and not all moms are mom artists, not all mom artists make the kind of mom art that I think is mom art, but, and not all art that I consider to be mom art is made by moms or women, or maybe not even people, but,
I like that definition.
yeah. I think that part of my problem, or like my own aesthetic sense, is affected by the fact that I'm really nearsighted, and like when I take my glasses off, everything becomes really blurry, and I feel like that kind of affects the way that I try to make definitions, because like my art critic friends will be like, I don't get it, like I don't see what you're saying, and I'm like, I don't even see it but I don't know, everything like dissolves into nothing anyway, so apologies if things seem a little messy or blurry, because I know that's one of my problems. Anyway, so my idea of mom art comes again from my experience, and one of the things about that we talked about last time was it's something very personal, like bodied emotions, like the things that are related to your person. And today I also want to talk about another aspect of my understanding of mom art, and that is the everyday. And let's see if the next slide has anything to say about that.
Victoria,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, it looks like you have a low battery. Do you
No,
want to plug in?
Yeah, do you have a plug? I brought one.
Okay, yeah.
I think I did. Thank you.
Yeah, I just didn't want it
Thanks,
to go.
Ryan. We're all in this together. But yeah, so I'm not sure what mom art is, and I might be wrong, but I'm trying. And I
You
appreciate
might have to
your
go
input.
under.
Okay.
So excuse me, everyone.
But yeah. So pursuing the idea of mom art. Yeah, right. This is very like oops.
Okay, they don't turn on eventually.
Yeah, sorry everyone.
The internet can see it.
Yeah.
They make these chargers so big. Here, I'm gonna get my smaller charger.
Okay. Thank you. Oh,
I apologize.
sorry.
I might have one of
Thank
those,
you.
like,
Thanks, guys. Wow, it's a team effort.
You just
here, if I can, hold on, Ryan, I think I have something. I'm like, I shouldn't do it because I always work with people.
Oh, Taryn, you were around for the last like technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, well I passed the last because I was like, there's a thing in the middle of the screen. I'm gonna press a button and cross that out, and they're like, oh no, you just unshared this whole thing. And turned off the stream.
Ryan, I got it. Sorry. Or yeah, it's all going now. Everything's working.
Everything is working.
I mean,
It's all
and
good.
there's like this mask under here.
We found our Macklemore.
Yeah, you know, there's all kinds of treasures. I found a tumbler in the front here. Anyway, so pursuing the idea of mom art, like it kind of like came to me as like one of those like thing, like I'm gonna talk about mom art, and it kind of left me for a while. But then when we started this school, and I was asked to make a class for it. It's like, what am I gonna do? And I started out with the idea of art in the everyday. So that's kind of where I started, and then I was like, it's kind of like, there's a lot of everyday art, and especially in Portland, there's a lot of things that like conversate with the idea of everydayness, and so I was like, I probably need to do something more interesting, and so I was like, maybe mom art. So then like trying to like flesh that idea out for myself and what it meant has brought me in contact with a lot of art that I like and like feel now that I like in a way that like feels like it sits in my heart in a close place.
Like since you came up with the idea, you mean?
well, I came up with the idea and then didn't like do anything about it. Like I tweeted about it like a couple years ago. It was like mom art. That counted. Like I'm making a thing called mom art, or like I'm thinking about mom art as a counterpart to pop art, or like as a like anti-pop art, and then like left it there like in my mind, and then didn't think about it until I started like coming up with this class, and then I should probably do that. I don't know. So, and then yeah, trying to put this class together. But anyway, I said that. So I hope that thinking about mom art does the same for you, or I mean, a similar thing. So, and it's brought us all here together today. So, thanks for coming and thanks for being here. So my fuzzy bundle, as I call it. So this is my. It's not a definition. It's not like a rigid structure. I call it a fuzzy bundle of mom art, and it includes a bunch of work that examines, mirrors, or is built by everyday material. And I've gotten in touch with a few artists whose work I consider to be addressing or doing this kind of everydayness, and they have been so generous to allow me to share their work in this context. And some of them are moms, some of them are not, and one of them's a daddy. And his work kind of edges, he bridges the divide between pop and mom art, Taj Bourgeois. I don't know if you all know him, but he definitely like works with commercial looking stuff, but he does it in a way that especially the collaboration with his daughter that I'm going to show you, that I think is, at least speaks to me and my idea of mom art and of everyday. And some of this work I don't know, like, none of the artists whose work we're showing like did it with this definition in mind. They were like, I'm making mom art. They're making art. But anyway, so where does mom art include the everyday? Let's see. So again, what brought me to mom art is the caring, bearing, and bringing up of a human baby. And during this experience, I examined my everyday because I had the space, time, and wherewithal to. So especially directly after my child's birth, and I had, it was the first time in my life that I think like I knew I was gonna like be taking off work and like going back and like the changing of my like life's settings, so to speak, helped me to like really re-examine why they were set the way they were. Has that ever happened to you guys? Have you ever had an experience that like made you be like, whoa, what am I doing with my life?
Like every day.
Yeah, every day.
Wow, lucky.
I don't know. It's kind of intense.
But literally every day.
I don't feel. I mean, this is just my like experience, but I don't feel that I ever am settled into like a given story about what's happening with me or with everything that's around me that's stable.
Awesome.
It feels. Yeah. Sometimes it's. I don't know.
Yeah.
It makes me.
I mean, like could a synonym for that be like deep life anxiety?
Yeah.
Emotional
Unrest.
In one of the readings, they talked about like crisis lifestyle,
Mhm.
and I sort of like sometimes feel like
That's interesting. Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up.
I feel like that's really interesting to me because I feel like sometimes I have like gotten so used to like living like in crisis, and like so that I like tend to like live in crisis even when I'm not in crisis, and then I'm like, it's my crisis lifestyle.
Right, that article that was like, what is the everyday? Or how
Yeah,
do you
that
feel
one.
every
Yeah,
day?
and I felt like they were describing people like making lifestyle things, and then they were like, sometimes people don't make these lifestyle choices, and those
Yeah.
people are in crisis. And I was like, that's me. Like,
Right, and I think thank you for bringing that up because I think that's a point that I was definitely when I said I want to talk about risk and talk
Yeah.
about safety, and I think that So one of the readings that was on the syllabus was this article from there's this whole journal devoted to the everyday. It's called Everyday Aesthetics.
Did you read the whole journal? I was thinking.
I mean, the whole
Or
journal
did
is
you,
like,
do you have it?
it's freely available on the internet. And it's like 5 years worth of like, no, but like 5 years worth of writing. They've written it for 5 years, and there's like 10 articles in every journal probably. So there's a lot. And, yeah, I've definitely like looked at more than one article, but the article I selected from the journal was kind of in response to this other. So there was this article about the everyday that was like, the everyday is this, and then this second article was like,
Problematized.
well, it was like everybody's everyday is different. So like instead of being like your everyday includes your family and your house, like not everybody's everyday has those things, and even if it does, like those things look very different for everybody. But it did kind of try and like make this like infographic of like your everyday should be a safe place. And to me, that was kind of dangerous in a way to suggest that, or like to not ask like how somebody's house becomes a safe place. And it's probably because of like violence at the edges of it. Like the only reason that we're like sitting here like feeling secure in our life is because like somebody chopped down trees to make this, and like lots of fucked up shit is happening, especially on behalf of white people in this room. And like the idea of safety is coming because there's this like edge of violence that's keeping out like what's considered to be dangerous. And I think that as a parent, I've also like tried to like, or I've
Also, as a parent of a non-white child.
Yeah, as a parent of a non-white child, like trying to wrap my head around like how to, I mean, because you're tasked with, or especially as a single mom too, I'm tasked with protecting the child, but also the things that I've depended on or like taken for granted would protect me might not include like her in their like pocket of safety. And I don't know what to do about that yet, but I'm trying to figure it out. But so to like casually just be like, your everyday is safe is like really erasing a lot of the lived experiences of a lot of people. And I think that to say that it should be safe is also really like demanding a lot of the edges of your safe bubble that people try to do. Anyway, thank you, Genevieve, for bringing that up. Anybody else want to have anything to say about that? Wow, you like, now I'm done. That you skipped. I don't have anything else to say. Anyway, so yeah, so it came through the time I had, like, especially my maternity leave, and like then also the negotiation of going back to work, like, and that transition really like caused a crisis for me, like, because like transitioning into motherhood was like such a like I mean, giving birth. Did you give birth? And did you have a like? Anyway, it's well, or just even like the experience. Like I didn't have any like painkillers. I didn't like have a good time while I was like the actual like act of giving birth. Is like for me, everybody's is different, but for me, it was like really traumatic, like really painful, and I couldn't escape it. And the only way I could escape it was pushing a huge baby out of my body, and it was like really like painful and but also really important, and changed my life. And then but then like the decision to go back to work also like made me like consider like go back to work. Like I'd been fucking working like the entire time, like working my ass off, like trying to like keep this person safe and alive. And so like what does work mean, and like why do we divide it in this way, and why do we only call these certain kinds of work, you know?
Yeah. I think that like don't know, going back to that idea of safety in the everyday.
Mhm.
Like for one, I realized, and maybe, like I shared the experience of having like pulled pushed
Another person out of your body.
some people out of my body.
Uh-huh.
But one, I was like, oh my God, how the fuck are there so many people on the planet?
Right.
Because I realized, well, first of all, it's really painful. It feels really violent.
Mhm.
And that is not, it doesn't feel like a safe experience to like have that happen. But also realizing that it's like a life or death situation every time a person comes into life. It's just like always a life or death situation. And that being like a transformative like awareness. And then carrying that with me, like I will never forget that. And I think people around me who haven't had babies come out of them will also not forget it because I talk about it.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
and then also realizing there are so many people like putting so much of that like that hard work on oneself and being like, oh, this is so hard. I have to work so hard to keep this thing alive. But then realizing that a lot of them stay alive even under extreme duress, like really wild situations. Like if you're born to a parent that is on drugs and like really severely dependent on drugs and like unable to be present in a way that like I felt like I had to be present for this being to stay alive. And just like I think there was like a wash of constantly being aware and thinking about, or like war, being in like born into war, or being born into like extreme violence in your home, or and that's like that doesn't I don't know where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
It just is like a lost interest.
Yeah, I think I loved. Thank you for saying that. No, but there's risk everywhere, right? And there's just like a lot of risk, especially in those early moments and like through birthing baby. I don't know.
Yeah, and
like that's the most like surgery. We perform surgery.
Yeah, and but like also like realizing that like there is that like what we think of as like safety. I don't know, maybe like that whole idea of safety or that whole idea of nurturing, like all of those things were just like turned on their head for me. Like I all of a sudden realized that like maybe there wasn't such a thing as like this ideal nurturing moment or like perfection of like the idyllic interior safe space of home or birth.
Probably better that you get that out of the way earlier. That lady who But yeah, so that's where I came to like that's where I like tried to re-examine my idea of like what the everyday is, or like got the chance in the space to be like, what is it that I do every day? Like why do I get paid to like sit in front of this computer screen all day?
Well, I haven't had that physical experience, but you all are talking about and the division between work. And maybe this is just on my mind, but like, I think a lot about politics, not like presidential politics, but body politics. And there's a lot of emotional labor that goes into those conversations and like modes of resistance and resilience. And maybe it's just on my mind because this has been like ongoing and like actually like from my day to day, like every day. But like those like divisions that are had between like the work that we do for money and the work that we do, or people who do that work, or we do in our lives to do things to like create safe spaces or safe moments or like safe communication, like one-on-one, and like the work that we do as people who care about that stuff. Like that's a lot of labor and is a lot of risk as well, and also is not, unless it's your job title, it's like also a thing that like I think it's kind of this gray area of like, well, you don't ever punch your like, you know, like when you like have like a salary job or like you have like an expectation of like you will accomplish these tasks or you will do this work, and then like you go home and like you're probably still thinking about work, but you're not doing it.
Yeah.
You may still get emails, but then you're like, this can wait till tomorrow. But then there's like the work that we do in our daily lives that like is ongoing, and that's like I think the closest thing that I can compare to what you're describing, not having had that experience or like really any like reference aside from other people.
Yeah.
Your experience is valid.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't mean
I
to
wanna-
get so like
Yeah.
specific, but that's
I
like.
want to hear you. But like that's just like the emotional labor of that. Like it sounds like I also I'm syllabus, so admittedly like I haven't done the readings, and I'm like I'm taking this as context of right now, and like
It's that.
yeah, I'm like I don't know. I'm trying to find the readings on my phone, but like this idea of like the things that like we as people who like do things or like think about doing things or read things or interested in things like do on a daily basis that like are risk oriented and like possibly disruptive, and like you don't take a day off. It's not like you just are like
And you don't see the results of them also, like immediately, maybe.
very rarely, and like oftentimes the best results are like when you don't hear about it instantly,
Right.
and you might have a conversation a year later or 2 years
Physical
later.
results.
Yeah, but like things might change, and then you don't know what part you had in that.
Mhm.
But it's like those invisible results and like the like lack of instant gratification and materiality, but like it often coincides with the materiality that is like very nondescript, like coffee. You know what I mean? And it's like
I
this
don't.
really-
Tell me more
but
about
like
that.
going and having those like deep conversations on coffee, or like going around coffee, or like doing a thing, or like being with somebody while like saying hi to somebody in the grocery store and like having a conversation about your day and like or their day, or like
Okay.
listening, and like those like little tasks that just like revolve around these like everyday occurrences.
Okay.
Where you get to be present
That you get
or supportive.
satisfaction from. kind
Yeah,
of, in a
and
way.
so like that's like repayment, but it's not actually measurable.
I feel like reproductive labor is not. It's like
Not about giving birth.
yeah, it's like it's just about maintaining. Because like so like
Yeah.
the like Marxist definition is like it's like the labor of
Yeah.
maintaining the workforce, but like it's so much
Mhm.
more than that. It's like
Maintaining society itself.
yeah, and then that's never like that's like even though it's called like reproductive labor, it's like never even considered labor.
Exactly.
I think also what's interesting in terms of the organizing context that you mentioned is because you know we talk about the work as like the work of becoming a better person and contributing to dismantling structural oppression, but no one talks about the work of sustaining and facilitating
Yes.
those environments. Like who's cooking the food, who is
Mhm.
setting the chairs up, you know, who is booking the speakers, who is sending out those emails, who is having those little conversations, all those little tasks that build up throughout the day as you facilitate for the work.
And beyond like the work or the events and like that and like the consequential ephemera of that, that like is like the thing we're here for right now. There's
Mhm.
also this like concept of like something being put out, and even if you can't be there, like the conversations had around the thing, like such as like my friend and I having a conversation about like this like ongoing series of events called Homeschool over coffee, and like talking about like different topics that are brought up outside of that context, but like the conversations before and after, and like the actions that happen because of that, and like what we take away from those things, and like that kind of ongoing invisible thing that's like not necessarily like you can't
Yeah.
have like somebody at the door with like a clicker being like X amount of people were here, or like X amount of people like viewed this Google thing. It's like what is like what are the evident changes in like how we navigate that go on, and that is because of the people who like are able and available to listen. Like you don't really need to know about theory to like be a part, you just need to listen. And like that's like a really interesting like dynamic as well, where like in having children and in raising children, like they subsequently like go out into the world, and like
Yeah.
that
Right.
it's like this other like kind of going through of like those like instances of reproductive labor that like are often conversational. I don't know.
I work at a hospital and I do like minor procedures on people, and like they last like 20 minutes, and like I'm just sitting there next to them like for that 20 minutes, and
just in case.
and these are veterans. No, like I'm holding stuff and doing stuff, and they are like, many of them are horribly racist, and many of them, like, there are murderers and like people like pedophiles and like people who have done like horrible things and say horrible things routinely, who are completely mired in these very like destructive psychological landscapes. And I like, the way my work is logged is I like do these, ICD-10 codes and CPT codes that say I did this procedure, and that's like I get paid for that. But like really, like the thing that is like way more exhausting and intensive is like trying to begin to speak to a person who's so deeply like mired in these very violent, ancient like paradigms. And I think about that, like I come home sometimes and I'm like really tired or like drained from
Is that like the Hippocratic Oath?
something. No,
No,
I just
it's
am
just-
talking
you have
to
to
a
talk to
human.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, you mean like to
the
actually
fact that
like
you actually like are like
have
But
to.
what is it that makes it so tiring? Is it that you see yourself in them?
No, well, I mean, I always, one always sees oneself a little bit in
Right.
everyone, I think. But no, it's tiring because I'm trying to be like talking to a 73-year-old guy from
Oh, you're trying to
Pendleton,
be nice
Oregon.
and be helping.
I'm not trying to be nice, I'm trying to change them, but you can't
Oh.
change someone by just being like,
real quick during
oh,
surgery.
you're an asshole.
That's not your job.
Like,
Yeah.
you're such a racist asshole. What's wrong with you? How did, like, you say such fucked up things, like, that's not going to change.
No.
And so, like, I'm not even trying, I
Just,
don't
like,
know
trying
what
to,
to
like-
say, but, like, trying to unwind some of these paradigms. And I feel like,
Like asking them,
I
like,
have
if you
to.
ask a question in a way where it's like you don't initially, like there's like a weird vulnerability that happens between you, but you can't abuse that vulnerability because
Wow.
you're in
Yeah,
this
that's
really
nice.
intense. But then it's like to not actually say anything is more exhausting.
but
So
and
you're
you-
every
yeah,
day
it's
is
just-
totally, yeah.
You can
that's
say
it.
things in your work, like by doing the surgeries wrong.
sometimes,
That's so good.
no,
Well,
yeah.
See,
Um,
where the exhaustion comes
Okay.
No, but like what you're saying about like
labor.
reproductive work that tries to like maintain like communal relations that are like equitable and
You mean like
and-
a human
Yeah,
humanist
like-
perspective in or trying to.
like that doesn't get logged at all, and
Yeah.
yet it's much more exhausting than like cutting a hole and like suturing and like whatever.
Maintaining yourself under like verbal battery is like really exhausting. I feel like just being like battered with these ideas that you don't agree with like over and over again is like incredibly exhausting. And like there's definitely such thing as like agreeing because of survival,
Yeah.
And I feel like that is something that's like just really tiring. It's like constantly like submitting yourself to agreeing to something that you don't agree with verbally, just like because you hear it over.
Like, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just saying, well, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to do that as much as some people do.
But there's different. Everyone has.
Like choosing when you say
Mhm.
something.
Well, and then like being like, okay, this is like one thing for 20 minutes, and I don't feel like I can like say anything, and then like, and then just being like, okay, then I'm just gonna like listen and try not to like let it like spiral out of control, and I'm just gonna like listen. But then like that's still like all of this stuff is like still like coming down on you, and I think that just like being like, I don't know, just I feel like that like maintenance of like one's mental state while hearing like tons of like stuff verbally that you don't agree with, it can be like really like super tiring in some ways.
And you don't get paid for that.
Yeah.
And there's a really interesting like divide between like times and positions, like which like actually comes down to I think paid labor. Like sometimes most of
Right?
the
It
time
can like be like this thing like I'm getting paid for this.
Yeah, or
I'm gonna
like
pay for this, I can put up with this.
being in a situation like where like when I've worked in customer service and like I currently don't, and so like this isn't really a thing, but like being in a place where like you are being paid to be there and treat people a certain way, and like interrupting that isn't a part of your job, and in fact like isn't
And you
probably the best idea.
right, because you're like
in
not
those work situations.
yeah. So sorry, I'm interrupting you. I'm like excited about what you're saying. So it's like a person, rather than being like, yeah, I'm getting paid for this, I can handle it. It's more like I have to get paid, so I have to put up with this shit.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about like if you're like doing ride shares or hitchhiking, this will like come up a lot. Like you'll just be like in a car. Yeah, like you'll just be like in a car with someone and they'll start going off on you about like whatever, some crazy shit, and they'll be like, there's too many abortions in the country because young women are like having too much sex, or like something like that. This is like something that happened to me in a ride share once, and like you're like I'm just gonna sit here and I'm just gonna like drop keywords and hope like I can like spin this conversation on without saying something, and that can be like really exhausting, and it's like making us a labor of that.
How to like make it through like
This conversation. I feel like that's gonna be like,
you're
or like
you're literally trapped.
yeah, or if you're like a bartender,
My
like
everyday,
people are gonna
I
come
think
to
about cars a lot. Every day.
cars, being trapped in a car with someone talking about something you don't want to talk about.
Or someone screaming.
Yeah, it's just hell. It's like a hell. Like, cars are a hell for any kind of like negative interaction, and like most interactions are sort of negative. So like,
I just
Never giving you a ride.
especially with Ryan.
I just got in my first car and now I'm in deep fear. Deep fear.
Don't forget the sauce.
I have like a traumatic relationship with like Ryan.
I'm gonna see
Yeah.
yeah.
Come out before I won't figure it out.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
Is
Nice to meet you guys
anybody
again.
here?
Yeah,
You
likewise.
guys know.
We're drinking.
Okay.
We're gonna have.
I'm
we're
gonna get a
starting
glass of
this-
water really fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Break.
Yeah.
I'm saving.
You guys are leaving,
Yeah.
so we
Bye.
gotta say
you.
Yeah,
me too.
I know.
It's a big
I wish
deal.
we could be here for this whole.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so
There'll be a
much.
third and a fourth one.
There'll be a third and a fourth one.
Only
It's
two
exciting
more?
things to come.
Ah, I didn't
Once
For
a
now.
month.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a whole glass.
Can I give you a
No, no. No, we're all taking it. Everybody's taking this opportunity.
like an attitude. So
Okay,
I
cool.
need to figure out how to like watch the
All
stuff
of
and
everything
all
we
that.
all figure out.
I really appreciated the site-specific moment that you did.
Cool.
That was really good.
And
That was the.
Yeah.
That was.
It was
Yeah.
awesome. We were both there,
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
The kids were in the back, so
Yeah,
we
sorry
were
you
kind
didn't
of
get a
like,
chance to say hi. It was
oh,
like
sorry we left
I was super
before.
super.
Your kids are
Yeah, you
so
said it.
cute. Oh my
I mean,
god.
I was
You came straight from work.
right after I was so exhausted. I mean, I was
took her
exhausted
to
going
the
there, but like
poetry like the next
doing
day,
all of
and
that
she like
while
was
sober
not having it.
is so
She's like,
emotionally
I'm gonna start looking at the cranes. I wanna look at the cranes. I don't
That's
wanna
why
be in
it's
here. I
tired.
wanna look at the
Yeah, we
It's
didn't.
cool when
I
there's a
was.
group, like that was a good little posse because there were three
She's got it.
siblings. She'll get there. I was only two. And I want to introduce you to, I want to try to, I just, that woman
That
knows
was context. That was really strong.
because she,
She was there.
no, she wasn't there. I want to introduce you to Emma, the person who was talking about who.
Oh, wait,
Yes.
Relationality.
Yeah.
No, the person, the
Yeah, that was
person who
sick. I love
does,
that.
that is in the School of Social
You mean
Practice
the
at
song?
PSU.
I've really never seen something like this. Poetry.
Yeah, it's a company that's like
I just was like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, guys,
it's right there.
I totally like each other because it's just nice to have a support of
I do
another
like
person
the
who has
relationship between
similar
poetry and art and the crime.
likes
art.
that going on. Just
And I
to,
feel like you really destabilize my ideas.
I don't know, it's always good. I have a friend who's
I should be able
away.
to talk to that kid.
She's away
but
doing that. And,
I think you go.
I have another friend, or I have a friend whose mom is white and her dad is black.
She's still
So,
blessed.
what?
Yeah, yeah.
That's my problem.
Are you like-
Like
Yeah,
friends who
really.
have moms and black dads, and we're like, okay, moms really recently.
Well, and my friend was like, my mom tries real hard and still says stuff that's like really offensive. What? And it's like, it's always going to be a little bit painful, but like that pain is like, if you're willing to go there, that's like the most important thing. Really, is like being willing to go there with them. Like you're not gonna fix it. You're not gonna make it go away. You're not gonna understand. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make things wrong.
Because I was like, yeah, I'll stand by my
But I'm like terrified.
Yeah, right? Like that's a different.
And I'm always like talking. I'm always being like, oh great, I have to like raise this like white male.
Yeah, right? See, that's a, yeah.
That's fun.
They give a lot of love to this guy that's just like carrying all these.
And it's like it's a horrible thing to be born into that in that way. You know, it's like no matter what you're born, no matter, this is what I was saying, it's like no matter what, whether you're born and your mom is like addicted to crack, or you're born and you're just like, you're always, it's still fucked. Like you're still, it's a violent.
Came out of like a place of pain
and it's also a beautiful thing. It's like we could both die.
Yeah, like really quick.
Yeah, and like anyone who's like, oh yeah, I have to go to the hospital, it's gonna be fine. It's like, yeah. I had
Right.
It's like almost like totally.
And the second one? Yeah, I was in my
which is a privilege.
is a midwife, but she was in a hospital in Brooklyn, and so she she was the one that was like making sure her heart had going well, like doing contractions because her head was going to squeeze, and like right body or whatever, like yeah, she's like reaching palpitating her heart.
Yeah, there's like there are kinds of
Oh, yeah.
It's not.
yeah, I mean, and then like there's
And it's not their fault, and it's like not.
no, and then there's also a desire after being born. Like the first night, I had really bad postpartum.
So bad. I probably did too, and
Did you have any like people coming to visit you?
Well, I had a room that like a wonderful person. She's an amazing person. I can't believe that she's like a friend from the context.
Did you go to art school?
Yeah, it was so annoying.
Are you an artist? I'm just
I do,
curious.
as like, but I read like right as I was leaving.
Before you were
Right as I, no, I didn't. Well, I mean, I definitely like I read like there's nothing one of the things that I read up, so I may as well since
I realized
you're
like
listening.
how much
And like before I became a mom, I did it was not every day. It was like I would collage letters for my friends and give them to them. I had this scene that
Yeah, I know. I
didn't
was like mad at myself. Why'd you choose
my mom
this?
that I like started doing every day. And I started doing like performance art where I just like go hang out in and like my favorite and most important work that I did was called Look Work. And it was just one of the questions that Chloe brought up about I actually said like different money. Like money tries to pretend that that's
yeah, wage
what work is
labor.
about.
Wage labor as a concept is a pretty new idea. And then it's used to oppress people.
And just that nice.
No.
Looking at the tractor. These walls are doing a lot of work. I don't know. I think that becoming a mom really like helped me. Like, because I knew it was interesting. Like,
Maybe that's the thing.
Like, okay, I get why I've like been attracted to infrastructure. This is just hard.
I walked my first
Just by
being done by oil and being done by
It's like
objects. Like, sunflowers. That's what's my
Interesting. I don't know if I agree with that. In fact, I don't really do. But I can't disagree with you in a very complicated way
I
right
know
now.
where you have to go.
But I'm
like,
going
we
to.
need that.
I'm gonna. It's okay.
we just advantage
No.
I feel like
No,
I
it's
think I'm going to
time.
think about that one
It's
more.
almost time to start like I have a few different.
I'm gonna do. I want your brain inside my brain for just a month.
Okay.
Let's do it. I mean, I don't know how to do it, but I do. Oh, you're like.
I sort of have standard things there. I'm good. I like three.
Okay. Second words. Yay! You had a mic too.
That whole food.
No.
Bye.
Stay close. That is that with that sauce. That sauce is really good.
And eat it. It's
Oh, yeah.
called a spicy roll. It's like nuts. Eat it. You guys can move up now.
Oh, yeah.
The carrots come is really addictive.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah. Who was here? Genevieve's still there.
You can sit on this back this one.
Yeah.
Scratches your spinal rectitude.
Okay, so
Yeah. I know.
You can-
Zero.
that was kind of heavy.
No, okay, I got that.
That whole surgery thing really took me like somewhere.
Let me know.
My fault.
Right? So I'm glad we had a break to like lighten the regroup. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't been looking at you. Okay.
So take me.
Wow.
Here,
No.
over this way, so the-
Sorry.
Sorry. I don't know if I took your seat or
No,
not.
man,
Oh,
he's
my
turning
chair.
it
My chair.
Okay.
That's the sushi chair.
back. You broke, man.
So yeah. So my question was, there's a lot of things that have been addressed that this these slide this slideshow is going to get redundant. Not that it already hasn't.
Now taking a lot longer than I thought it would.
How are you guys doing? Are you from Oklahoma?
No.
Yes.
I'm actually from Vancouver, British Columbia. Long story. Long story.
I noticed your ankle tattoos. I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask, or I wanted to ask you guys, since we're talking about the everyday, and part of what I'm interested in is how different everybody, like the everydaynesses of life are. If you want to talk a little bit about what your everyday is and what you do all day. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about this actually when we were talking on the front porch and we were talking about all the emails and like all the things that it takes to bring something like this together and like all those little moments. So I work as an art administrator and we've talked about this a lot too. It's kind of like a thankless job but it's what I do every day and just like it's hard to see like the exciting parts of it because it just takes so much to like get to a certain point and then putting like the values on what you're creating and like measuring it in terms of like I don't know, deciding how you want to measure that success. Or,
Right? I think it kind of that ties into what I heard Chloe saying about like sometimes you can't tell like what's gonna happen from like I work in like admissions at a university and like I'm doing a lot of emailing into the void.
yeah.
So I understand that. Thank you. What about you guys? Is there anything about your everyday that you think is like important or like do you wanna like sketch your everyday life? Do you consider your work every day? Like when you think about your everyday, do you I feel like a lot of definitions of the everyday kind of like work. Like, not
Work isn't like artwork or work.
day job.
Day job. I go in a kind of weird position because I do a lot of canning, and so that's actually something I normally do at night, and so then it becomes my every night. And it's also really weird because it takes something that's like so taboo for everyone, and it becomes like really like normalized to me. And so I feel like that's like a weird part of my routine that then for other. But I actually think the only thing is I actually think that like everyone is masturbating all the time, so that's actually part of everyone's routine, but they don't think about it
Do you
that way.
think we're all masturbating right now?
Yeah. Probably. I don't know. Yeah. Well, mental. I feel like mental masturbation counts. Yeah.
You're screaming, right?
Well, yeah. But so I feel like that's like a weird thing. And then I've also definitely like lived with people before who are like, you don't work every day. Like you don't do work. And then I'm like, excuse me. Like yes I do, but also like it means that sometimes my like every day starts later than other people.
Right? It's funny how night is like not considered a part of everyday.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, like my dreams are a big part of my everyday.
Yeah.
That don't even have
And I also just have a lot of friends who have like night jobs. And I feel like that becomes very strange when you think about the everyday. It's like pretty surreal, I feel like, for them to like have to come home and like go to sleep and then wake up. Like when the sun is coming up, I feel like that's like really like kind of like intense. And I know
right? It feels like out of the ordinary.
Also forming
Thank you for bringing it in.
forming and breaking bad habits is another thing I've been thinking about a lot in terms of the everyday. Like when you start to realize that you're doing something every day that maybe like shouldn't, like maybe spending money on something that you shouldn't be spending money on, or like you're like, I'm really addicted to this.
Looking
Like,
at my sushi right now?
Spending money, you're like, oh, I'm addicted to this one drink that I can get at this one place, and I really have to have it every day. And then and like fighting that.
Green juice.
Yeah, fighting that has become a really big part of my everyday.
Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna, a lot of what you said is we have to always count.
She planted.
Right? It almost feels that way. A lot of what you said is very relevant, and I think, yes. And your question about artwork and like day job work, I'd also like you to potentially like address how your work and your art, your everyday and your art are like interfacing each other.
Yeah, it's strange because we were actually sort of talking about like my everyday is like pretty transitional depending on like what I'm doing. And like we're talking about this every day where like I was running a project space called Short Space and had like a coffee maker in my loft bedroom.
Okay,
Like, a
so
workspace.
this is why like coffee is like this code.
And so it was like I'd wake up in the morning and I was working, I was managing a pedal auction for Pica, going to school full time, working at Living Gallery, and running a project space that was doing 12 events over 30 days. Genevieve was helping with this. I was emailing Genevieve about PR at like 2 a.m, being like, "Can you get this, please?" Because this is like a psycho, and like sleeping for 5 hours and like hitting on the coffee maker in the morning and like laying there with my eyes closed till like the coffee pot was finished, and then like doing all of these things and like also occasionally doing like bartending. I don't know how that happened. But it's like right now I've transitioned, like taken a break from school, and I just work as a computer programmer right now, and also I'm like putting together a project space and like putting together some curriculum for panels and like working through conversations with people who do like work or the work or artwork, or like how those things are intertwined like on a daily basis, like in person or by email or by phone, and booking events that happen at night as well. And so like all of that stuff is just my everyday, and then my job is so like
I'm a contract worker, so I get paid well. So I kind of just work when I can, and like when I'm working, like that stuff is often happening at the same time, and I take breaks and like do an hour of emails about panels I'm putting together or like films I'm bringing, and like so it's all like my curatorial practice is all a part of that, and then my studio practice is interrupted often by things.
What is your studio?
I make sculpture or like manipulate mediums. Like I'll make paintings using scanners or like make sculptures using objects. And so it's all like misrepresentation of media. And there's also like the context of like, I keep talking about work and emotional labor because it's on my mind, like as like a Native American woman, that's my daily life too. So like there's this stuff that just is always, and then like there's the like hours that I clock in that like pay me, and then sometimes the other stuff pays me, but like it's all at the same time and multitasking and like emailing to the void. And, like, sometimes the void comes back, and then sometimes it's all during 1 week, and you're like, oh my
Yeah, I love those weeks. You're like, oh,
God.
okay.
You're like, and so I wish I had the coffee maker next to my bed still. Because that was a wild thing to do.
Thank you. Chloe.
Beverages in the everyday.
Bevies in the everyday.
Yeah, everyday.
Wow, do you? I feel exhausted just like thinking about doing events. Wow. I mean, not in a bad way. I have a friend who I had a roommate who seemed to live 5 lives at once. It seems like you are able to like do that so gracefully and so much.
It's not always graceful, but it's kind of
You
like,
come across very graceful.
I think that's why like the parenting kind of comparison like makes sense to me. Whereas like,
Okay, wow.
because it's like that's
It's like
the
a
thing.
secret thing that you're like juggling a million plates or whatever.
Yeah, it's silly.
Well, thank you for all the
And you
work
do
that
that
you
too.
do.
Yeah, there's like the doing 5 things at once.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I also think there's a thing where like, people seem to not, like, if you're doing, you do like a bunch of things at once, but you don't do all of them all the time when you're doing them. And I feel like there's like times when there's times when it's like, well, I know with you, there's like times where you're doing like 5 of these gallery spaces at once.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's times when you're like taking a break, but it doesn't mean that you're still not like thinking about like all 5 of these like things, you know? And I feel like that's like, even when you're not doing them, it's exhausting because it's still sort of part of your everyday.
Yeah, when you have like different modes, it's like the day job, our job, because it's like when if you work in a coffee shop and you're writing a publication, like you probably aren't not thinking about your publication while you're at your coffee shop job. You're just not talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like still thinking poetics.
Yeah.
It's like that code switch, and like you can switch out to a certain degree for different needs, but like those things are a part of your life and a part of your being, and like that is like the art that we do, and like that is like the life, you know?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the art that you do like consciously addresses your like everyday? Is that something that you're
I think
interested
so.
in doing, or?
Yeah, I mean, it addresses what I'm thinking about every day.
Right.
It might not do it directly, but that's part of it.
What is that?
It came up recently because it's tax season, and
Uh-huh.
like,
Oh.
yeah, it's funny when like I had a full-time job for like in 2015 for 10 months out of the year that I quit, and then like realized that everything else was like I was doing at a loss, which like the IRS sees eventually as a hobby if you do that for like 3 years consecutively.
Wow.
So like that idea that you can fund something, you know, like a non-passion project or you can fund, you know, the actual work you want to do through those other things is like, it gets really tricky and blurry when it comes to, when it comes to like giving that an actual title or like making it seem like it's a substantial part of your life, even though it obviously is.
Yeah, like, how do you commemorate it officially?
Yeah, like, or like almost feeling guilty for having been like, oh, the reason I'm not paying taxes on this is because like I earned this much money through
Wow, we're getting
this
real
job,
Panama papers here.
and
so-
just just like yeah, it's just like I lost like so and so much like on my own, and it's like lost is obviously like a negative connotation,
Yeah.
but like I took this much amount to fund the thing.
So when you think of the like interface between your art and your everyday, you're thinking of like a resource exchange, like
I feel like
inspirationally.
I kind of quit to do what Chloe was talking about in terms of being a contract worker, like doing something where it's like you do it on your own time and you get paid well enough where it's like just completely neutral money, like the other way. So I came here to work at a place and I was doing visual effects, and eventually like it was really like all consuming, and it did find its way into my artwork, and so like as soon as it did, I felt like I could get rid of it.
Check.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to find something that was just like, I don't know, neutral money that could fund other things.
That's interesting. I like that you all like took your everyday straight to your jobs. Like, it seems interesting. That was not what I was expecting. So thank you for doing that. I want to be able to show you a little bit of work that's outside of this room that I think resonates with my idea of everyday. Let me see. One good, so I want to make sure that you see these questions though. So like, does your everyday get in the way? So, yeah. Where am I? Oops, I'm going, wait. Sorry. Anyway. I don't know, I'm still figuring out this stuff. There. Does your everyday get in the way of your art? Here. How does your art influence your everyday? Does your everyday get in the way of your art? Vice versa, neither. What are you working on now? Art-wise or otherwise? Are there any artists, projects working within the everyday that you admire? Sounds like hopefully, I guess. But so these are some that I think. So one artist that is working in the everyday that is actually, I think, kind of made me feel like more confident in the. So we're doing this. So yeah, none of these, like I said, none of these works were made with my idea of mom art in mind, but they resonate with my mom art. So the first is Penny Goring, and she's an actual mom with a child. Have you guys heard of Penny Goring at all? She is from the United Kingdom, and she is a poet and an artist. And I first came across her through these like image macros that she was doing with a mutual friend of a friend, and we became friends on Facebook, and I saw that she was making all these like really interesting, like to me, like sculptural works that kind of look like dolls, but like kind of like scary dolls that might come alive at night or something, and but not in a very obvious way. But so they inspired me, and like we're making this project we're doing this thing for First Thursday for homeschool, and I decided I wanted to make a beanbag chair. And I think that part of my like brave, like I don't think I would have been brave enough to admit that I wanted to make a beanbag chair for an art show if it weren't for Penny Goring. So thank you, Penny. And I wanted to show you her Tumblr real fast. I have it like saved here on my desktop somewhere. Sorry.
You have to put it on your desktop?
Well, I saved it to my desktop so I wouldn't have to like use the internet to
Wow.
get it because they said the Wi-Fi was iffy.
It's a little iffy. Yeah.
Dedication, saving an entire
Oops, sorry. Well, I don't know if it saved the whole thing, but
pages.
and I want to give a lot of thanks to Penny for being willing to participate in this because, being a mom in the art world, and she's been an artist longer than she's been a mom, and she's like, I've been doing like kind of this kind of work for a long time, and people did not respect me for it, and I don't want to like pigeonhole myself, so to speak. But she's like, let me show you. So, like, for example, Blue Rabbit number 6. Let's see. She makes these cool paintings and drawings too that are really pretty. But I think her sculptures are the things that feel the most like mom art to me, like the texture of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's also these like vinyl ones. Like there's her, and I think she's the only actual like mom the work that I'm looking at. Okay, that's as far as my fake Tumblr will go. But let's see who's next. I think Taj is next. So, do you guys know Taj Bourgeois? You guys know? So Taj is from Portland. We first met, or I first encountered his work when I was the student at BHQFU in this guy Sean Carney's class called Humor and the Abject, and he had Taj Skype in for like an artist talk, and he had he works a lot with like the class Sean was doing was on humor and the abject, and Taj's work is kind of concrete comedy. He does a lot of stuff in the 39th and Hawthorne, or 39th and Stark Safeway. So like his work is towards pop art, and he's a dad, so that's fair. But he did this recent collaboration with his daughter that I thought was working. So I think like Penny's work and Taj's work both show that like being a parent can bring you in contact with objects in a way that might be very inspirational. And I hope that being a parent, like instead of like getting in the way of your art or hindering your art, will actually like be a really inspiring experience and let you see. I think kids are like inherently artistic. I don't know, at least the kids I've met are like interacting with the world in a way that feels like artistic to me. And I think that Taj has been able to do that with his kid. So here's his sculpture that he did with his daughter, Kai, in a video that he did it. So Kai made that. They've done some other collaborations before, but that was the one that I like. Was like, can I show this? And he was like, sure. I'll send you some more. You know, parents are busy. But I also wanted to like, let's see, wait, sorry. So Lenka Clayton is an artist that Ryan brought me in contact with, who is doing this thing, residency in motherhood. And so instead of like considering, like, she is an artist from Pittsburgh, right? And she said that like a lot of times people see art and motherhood like conflicting, but she's like, I'm going to like take this time off. Like my maternity leave is essentially an artist residency. And she's made some really cool work out of it. And then one of them that I liked was the objects taken out of my son's mouth in 2011, 2012. I think you have to bring it back up on the. So acorn belt, bolt, bubblegum, buttons, carbon paper, chalk, Christmas decoration, cigarette butt, coins, GBP, USD, euro, cotton reel, holly leaf, little wooden man, sharp metal pieces, metro ticket nuts, plastic O, polystyrene, rat poison, missing, seeds, slides, small rocks, specimen, vial, sponge, animal sticks, tea bag, wire caps, wooden lock, and I don't know. I liked the like kind of taxonomy or like the way that this looks like butterflies. Like it looks almost scientific in a way, the way that she's organized it. Like she's really like allowing this to like be something like significant.
I'm excited for that kid to like get a little older and be able to like reread this.
You're like, thanks,
see.
Mom.
Yeah.
So embarrassing.
Like, see if it's recorded.
That's interesting.
I'm
Like,
embarrassed.
there's I read this article recently that was like, kids don't like their parents posting their pictures on social media. Like they want permission to like say yes or no whether their mom posts that stuff or their dad.
Well, and then there's a lot of videos that people post of their little kids like being funny online.
It gets really
Yeah.
dark
Yeah,
and really
it's really
gross.
dark. Yeah.
I'm kind of like my kid's dad was the one who said that she shouldn't be on Facebook, and I resisted. It really felt like a loss to me at the beginning. I wanted to share my joy with my community, but I'm kind of glad that I made that decision because I wouldn't have, but I think it anyway. Is there anything else you guys want to say? So these ones, yeah, I guess she's a mom too. Sorry, I forgot about that. See who else I got here for you. I think the next one I might be the most excited about. So this is Nontsikelelo Mutiti. Sorry, autocorrect. Oh man, that's Mutiti is her last name and it's spelled Mutiti. And Nontsikelelo is from Zimbabwe, and she did a residency at sorry, I want to get that up there. I feel terrible. She's amazing and I love her, and she's did a residency at this space called Recess Project Space. It's not the one here. There's like recessart.com, which is very different than recessart.org. And recessart.org is in Soho, New York. And they do like this artist residency where they let, like it's a nonprofit organization, and they do like 1 month project. Like I didn't know about project spaces. I didn't know it was like a common thing, but like they let artists like come into the space and do what they want with it for a month, and like they like make the work that's shown in the space like wow, it's there. And like the first time I saw Recess Project Space, they were doing this work by Rutherford Chang that was called We Buy White Albums, and like he like had all these Beatles albums, like people could come buy them, and it was kind of like but then so anyway, when Nancy's project got there, I like ended like I would like run into her on the street because this place was pretty close to my work, and it was after I'd become a mom, and like it was like kind of the place where I could go that was close to my work that I could kind of like sneak to on my way home, or like sneak to on my lunch breaks. And I was so happy that she was there and she was doing her work called Ruka, to braid, to knit, to weave, and it was about African hair braiding salons and kind of like bringing into question the like, or not bringing into question, but like bringing into like bringing this like amazing artistic practice into a fine art space that it hadn't, like, I had never seen it there, which doesn't mean it wasn't there, but to see the work that goes into, like, making someone's hair look so interesting, making African hair look so interesting in this very careful and like calculated, artistic and like geometric, mathematical kind of way. Like, seemed it like the project offered me an opportunity to like see that the lines that were divided between like work and community and connection like were like that were totally like site dependent, like that didn't, those came from my like United States white eyes. Like, I don't know, I love her, I love her work, and I'm happy that she let me show it. And she, I think one of the things that she said is that my work explores the relationship between the everyday and the studied, deliberate nature of algorithms. An ongoing investigation into the aesthetics of the African hair braiding salon brings me to think past the propagation of traditional customs and the symbolism behind kinds of African hairstyling through to ideas around motif, repetition, and labor in the process of image production. I'm often looking for ways to imply the machined action of the hair braider's wrist in my work, whilst also representing other social aspects of the African hair braiding salon, such as language, color, and various graphic forms. As I rely on familiar motifs from my current surroundings, as well as memories of my home, Harare, Zimbabwe, I begin to learn about and map out the complexity and nuances of the potent and meaningful everyday objects and practices within the African migrant immigrant community in New York, as well as other spaces where the African diaspora persists. And yeah, I mean, it sat with me in a similar way, and I thought it was really important. And like, the everyday does not like look like this everywhere, and the work that goes into it is like valued differently, and I love her. So please, like, take a closer. She's not very well represented online, I think, because she's my age too. She's like 34. She's like internet.
I don't think it's because she's your age. I think it's because she's an African artist.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's why.
Yeah, like it's just, yeah. She's underrepresented and her work is really important. And please, like, find ways to like, get to know it. And it's underrepresented because she's an African artist, and that's fucked up because she's amazing. Thank you, Mary. I don't know why I made this song, and I'm still afraid to say that.
Because you're white.
Yeah.
You should probably still invest in whiteness.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But thanks, Nancy, for it. Anyway, so I'm going to end with a couple videos from a couple of my friends from BHQFU, which was the art school that I went to in the Lower East Side. And the first...
Are they still there?
No, they're in Brooklyn now. But at 34 Avenue. But Giovanna Olmos, I think that her work addresses this idea of the internet as like a part of the everyday that maybe people don't like automatically go to. But I love her, so let's watch. I think I picked that one too because I think it. I read this recent text by Rosemary Kirchen, who's going to be a homeschool speaker, and she talks about how we take in the conventions of the websites that we visit. Try to be more like them. And I think this works piece of that. And then my other best friend that I met at PHQ, Chloe Rossetti, does work that's very different, but also video and addressing issues that she does these persona based works. And the next video, Quran Divine, she says that the work that she does is based on the maintenance and care of others, and that's why she considers this to be so, let's see. We're just gonna look at an excerpt from this.
I really think I wore the wrong outfit for this activity, to be honest. Even though I grew up in the area I've never actually been on a farm before. Not that this is a farm, it's like a veggie patch on a piece of land nowhere near really any farmland, but you know what I mean, with veggies and whatnot, I don't even really know what's a weed and what's not a weed, I'm assuming because these are on the inside of the hose here and away from the grass that these are not weeds, and that these are weeds, But it really gets kind of philosophical at that point, because who's to say that this is not a weed, but this is a weed, and that this weed has any less right to live than this plant? Just because one plant is more useful to human society and civilization than another does not make it any less valuable or any less special or important. But you know, I'm not the boss of the veggie patch, you know. And the boss of the veggie patch is a real bitch, so I just do what she says.
The end. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Do you want to say anything else? What do you think? Yeah.
Good job. Well done.
Please. Oh my god,
I wish that Taryn were here to see, have seen that last video. I feel like she would have brought in some
Yeah.
Sophia Federici stuff or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Take a moment for Karen. And her anecdotes.
I'm sure she'll
Yeah.
talk to you once she sees the stream. Sort of.
So yeah, I'm so grateful to have her as part of this project, and I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, they brought us.
Yeah, eat more carrots. Yeah.
Just be your praise.
Yeah.
Here, come be in it. Let's take a fake selfie. Come here. Get closer. Thanks for coming.